What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Couch Racing Chronicles. As always, I am AJ, Team 17, Twitter owner / admin, whatever you want to call me. We are back from Michigan, and I got some friends here with me. Who do we got today?
Well, as always, this is Sonny, the Rowdy Nation diehard, coming off yet another pretty impressive showing for us this season. And really happy to get into another episode.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Check her out here in the Amazon jungle. I mean, my backyard. Just chilling. It's been a good day. It's been a good week. Honestly, Michigan was awesome. Awesome week. Ready to continue onwards. Let's get this episode started, and let's go have some fun here.
What is up, everybody? My name is Channy. I am the quote-unquote William Byron simp out of this quad here. And, boys, we got a special guest here today. AJ, do you mind announcing who the special guest is?
Indeed, I do. We do have a special guest here today. First guest ever on the podcast. I don't know how to tell you guys this, but we have a Ty Gibbs fan in here. But, no, I'm just kidding. He's a good dude. He runs the Team 54 Twitter and Discord. Zach, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Thanks for letting me partake in this chaos.
I mean, it's a Discord call. You should be used to this type of chaos.
Oh yeah. It's just usually with other Ty Gibbs fans, So I'm putting my foot into enemy territory here a little bit. You know what I mean? Yeah,
but as always, welcome to the show, and we got a lot to talk about today. So first and foremost, Michigan. Michigan was a fairly good weekend, I'd say, right? For a lot of us.
Yeah, excellent weekend.
Yep.
For us, it was kind of an up and down day. We had a really good car. Won stage 1. The strategy got flipped in stage 2. And we're in the back for a good chunk of the stage. Stage 3, we came to life, and if Hamlin had just run out maybe 1 or 2 laps before, we probably would have won, but I'll take second any day. Zach, Ty Gibbs finished third. How you still feeling about that?
Well, if you had asked me right after the race, I might have had a different answer for you. But now, after everything is kind of calmed down, it's a little more relaxed. I feel a lot better about a third place because, if anybody has seen any of the posts that I had been making previously, you know how tumultuous the first half of that race, if not more of that race, definitely first 2 stages was. And, to have a driver and a crew chief essentially fighting on the radio to finishing third place and still feeling like you could have had more, actually kind of a good sign in a way that, this team has not reached its full potential and is going to start probably cracking off good finishes. So I feel pretty great about it. I wish he could have done something more than 70% throttle at the end of that, but, it is what it is, and hopefully we have a little bit better chance this week.
Of course, I definitely agree. This is probably going to be, well, I don't want to say the turning point, but this might actually be the start of where Ty Gibbs could start rattling off some more solid finishes. I have a lot of confidence in him. I know we're going to a new track, but statistically, hasn't he been pretty good on road courses?
Yeah, the last few road courses have not been great. Coda, he got damage on lap 1 and then had to just fight the car the whole day. And then if you go back, he had a transmission failure at the Roval the year before. And then before that, he had Watkins Glen, and that one just didn't go well. So he's had some bad finishes in a row, but I think if you look at him historically, his road courses are certainly one of his fortes, if you will. And certainly something that if you look at it, the struggles with the team is more Tyler Allen, the new crew chief, struggling with keeping a car under him for the intermediates. I don't think you're going to have as much of a problem with that when you go to a road course. You're going to, how the car is, especially with as much practice as we're going to have. And I'm sure we're going to get into that, but we're going to have a lot of practice coming into Mexico City the actual race. So I feel pretty confident. He's doing the Xfinity race too. I think he's going to be ready for this race, and it should be an interesting one.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, as he mentioned, there are 2 practices this weekend, and one is an hour, the other one is 30 minutes, which, I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, it's a new track. First practice is are both of them on Friday?
Yeah,
Or
both of them are on Friday. I can actually pull up the exact schedule for you. It's at 1 Eastern is practice 1, and then Xfinity rolls out. They do their, I guess, hour practice, and then practice 2 starts at 3 p.m. Eastern, and then Xfinity will do their final practice after that. So they switch off back to back, and that's on
Okay.
Friday.
Okay, well that's good. I mean, that's kind of a good thing too, because I think we only have. I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse here, but this is kind of a different kind of episode because we're going to a new track. I think out of the entire Cup Series field, I think only like maybe a small handful of drivers have actually been at this track.
Yeah, you're right. Michael McDowell, he's won a race here in a different series, and then you have, I believe, AJ Allmendinger has been on this track before. I think Kyle Busch might have been on this track before at some point, sometime.
Yeah, yeah, he won.
And of course, Daniel Suarez. I mean, listen, I know you're not ready for picks yet, but I think everybody should be taking a good, long, hard look at Daniel Suarez, because this guy, he's been preparing for a year for this one, and he should have experience at this track. He's in his home country. Like, you'd have to take a good, long, hard look at Daniel Suarez, because he's going to be the most experienced guy out there as far as the track is concerned.
Yeah, Kyle Busch actually won an Xfinity race here in 2008, and Brad Keselowski's actually been here before too. When he drove for Junior Motorsports, I think he finished top 10 here, so he's got experience here too. That's all I can really think of offhand, but yeah, the rest of this field, they got to pretty much rely on sim basically, and the problem with sim is it doesn't really carry over to tracks most of the time. At least that's what I've heard. The consensus is from a lot of drivers and different podcasts.
You're also not having to fight the altitude, so that's another part of it.
That too, and this is the highest elevation track on the schedule. So the question is, and I've heard this all throughout the week, is will the drivers be able to handle it? Will the engines especially be able to handle it? Because that's going to be definitely concerning. I would not be surprised, even in the Xfinity race and the Cup race alone, there's going to be a lot of engine failures.
Yeah, I mean, I would say you're going to see a lot of cars really, really down on power. You probably won't see that as much as Cup, like as far as engine failures. You may see it if they're running super rich. If the engines are running super rich in Xfinity, you may see some field fillers have that problem.
Yeah.
So look for cautions for cause because of that. Whether it be on restarts or things like that, where somebody dies and then everybody else is behind them and they got oil down. I mean, that definitely could be a problem at some point during that race, especially with these long straightaways.
Indeed. So I'm sorry for that being a little too long. So how was everybody else's week at Michigan? So let's go to Mr. Chaney over there. Top 10 for Ryan Preece?
Hell yeah! I'm stoked with basically the entire RFK boys getting an entire top 10, but we will get into that later. But I feel like we had a good weekend at Michigan.
Byron did too until he ran out of gas, unfortunately, which, I mean, that blows because the heck. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, that's the thing about these mile and a halves and these super speedways nowadays. It's all come down to fuel mileage. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like fuel mileage racing, but we can't have it at every single track, right? But I think this was a good textbook style Michigan race. You have the fuel mileage there at the end, and pretty much it was chaos. I mean, but it was a good kind of chaos. But we'll get into that in a minute. Sonny, how'd Kyle Busch do?
Oh, once again, we actually had a pretty solid weekend. Started at second. I thought we were gonna have like ultimate shot to win, but then we hit the wall, and I guess the car was kind of then and there for the rest of the day. But we actually hung on to finish, I believe, 8th place. So, yeah, I already mentioned this last week, and I'm just gonna recap into it. This is just something that I really, really want to see out of Kyle Busch and the RCR camp, because when they catch fire, they have to keep it up, and if they lose it, they start all over again. And with an hour of practice and another half-hour practice session, 90 minutes of practice time for this weekend, and if you consider how Kyle Busch did at COTA, and considering that he's been an advocate for more practice times, I don't know. I think that weekend might be our weekend. So keep an eye out.
Well, okay, and the other thing too is I wanted to ask you this, especially since you were the lone Kyle Busch fan in here. With him winning there back in 08, I know this is a somewhat different track configuration, I think, but does that give you some hope?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, like, experience is gonna have a big factor into how you race, because if you know the track better than everyone else, that already gives you a head start. It's just all a matter of tuning up and finding a perfect setup for your car, and then the right circumstances fall in, and you have a car that, with the right car and the right driver mindset, then you can really run away with this race. So honestly, I'm expecting a lot out of the RA cars in this Sunday, so it'll be exciting to see what happens.
That's great, and I really want to see him back in victory lane soon, and I think this might be a legitimate shot for him. Checker, Brad finished 10th. How do you feel?
Well, first off, holla fucking Luya. No, truthfully, we were recapping last week. We were talking about what does Brad, need to do now? Is it time to hit the panic button, or just is it time to readjust? But then after Michigan, his top 10, I was like, we were just talking about like how we need that we need like a good luck charm to have some hope, and then get to top 10 just at the right time in the right place. And honestly, I'm actually happy that Brad got a top 10. It's an awesome day for the 16. We've been going through the rough hills, going through the trenches, but I'm hoping with Mexico City coming up, since he's a little familiar with this track, I'm really curious to see how the 16 is going to work, and I'm really curious to see what strategy we got going, and hopefully maybe a top 5, top 10 day, or maybe top 15, just something, just not the sink or have another DNF. I'm just hoping we have a better week coming up. So yeah, I'd say it was an okay day, and it was an okay, great last week for Brad Keselowski and that 16.
I agree. Well, gentlemen, why don't we get into some green flag, red flag, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. First topic. All right, now this one's kind of in two parts, so I'll do my best with this one. Dodge made it official on Sunday. Ram Truck brand will return to NASCAR for the first time since the end of the 2012 season. In light of this news, also being dropped on Sunday, TikToker, yes, I know, a TikToker. I watch Break Hard all the time. TikToker Break Hard made a video discussing about NASCAR finalizing a deal to have a fifth manufacturer enter the sport, and sources say it is believed to be Honda. I'm going to go to Zach on this one first.
Well, I'm glad that you did, because I definitely have some thoughts on this. First off, you said it was 2 parts, and it's definitely 2 parts. First and foremost, always good to have a new manufacturer, especially one with sort of a pedigree in NASCAR. I like having Ram back in the truck series. That's cool. I think it's kind of sort of a promotional thing a little bit, which scares me a little bit with them. I think them coming into the sport again is sort of like a oops, sorry, with the whole getting rid of the V8 in their trucks thing. I definitely think that is an element of it. Obviously, they kind of hinted that Dodge would come back to the Cup Series, and you would have to wonder if that is because they plan on bringing the V8 back to the Dodge line as well. I can't imagine that they would come back to NASCAR and not bring that back as a part of this whole package, because obviously Stellantis has been suffering since they got rid of their whole V8 thing, and people would be like, well, does that really matter with NASCAR? Absolutely it matters. You're not in NASCAR for no reason. It is obviously a marketing thing. Now, so green flag for them coming back. That's great. I'm a little bit hesitant to say green flag for Honda, and the reason is because they kind of have a bit of a rocky history with motorsports and kind of changing the trajectory of different motorsports. Look at them in IndyCar. I think a lot of people have kind of been a little bit like, Honda's not great in IndyCar, and they're a little concerned that they may bring something over to NASCAR that they're not super happy about, with like changing the engine package or something along those lines. And if you're like me, which I'm a V8 elitist when it comes to NASCAR, I don't like the idea of having a bunch of different setups for different engines and things. I'm not loving the idea of having Honda come in and say, oh yeah, we want to run a twin turbo V6, because that just opens Pandora's box for different manufacturers changing the way they do things. So I'm not crazy about the idea of them fundamentally changing the sport. So until I'm proven otherwise, I'm a bit on the red flag side when it comes to Honda. But green flag for Ram. Love them coming back, and I hope they continue to change trajectory with what they've done in the past year or so with their company. And I hope NASCAR is sort of an indication that they plan on doing that.
Okay, so since you actually brought up that point about Honda potentially running a twin-turbo V6, if they do decide to enter the sport and they do go forward with running that twin-turbo V6, do you see them playing a part in NASCAR as like what they do with IMSA, like with Toyota and Audi running twin turbos?
I mean, it's hard to say, right? Like, what goes on at the NASCAR corporate level is beyond all of us, right? The decisions they make almost no sense most of the time. When you look at the next gen fundamentally changing the way stock cars are, and then you see a manufacturer like Honda being hinted at, you have to wonder, like, what is your plan for coming over here? Because I can't imagine Honda's going to go, yeah, we'll develop a V8. If they do, it's only going to be part of the time. Maybe they want to be involved in this whole electric car thing that NASCAR has been hinting at. Maybe they want to be a part of that whole series. I don't know, but I'm a bit hesitant when it comes to Honda, just because I don't want to see the sport fundamentally changed. And it seems like that's kind of what they might like to do.
Yeah, Zach hit it right on the head for me. First and foremost, I'm green flag for Ram coming back, because I think this is something we've all wanted to see. As NASCAR fans, we wanted, Ram come back, because I personally think, as the Ram brand especially, with Dodge, and they made a major impact on the truck series, right? The stats don't really show it that much, but if you really dive deep into it, it really did. The first thing that comes to mind is, they have, I think, 3-4 manufacturers championships with several different drivers. Ted Musgrave won the title in 2005. It's just that I feel like historically, on a historical level, it makes sense, right? So, I mean, that's a no-brainer for me. I'm
sorry to interrupt you, but an American brand too, and that's a big thing. To not bring in another foreign brand, to bring back the American brand, so that it's all the American brands under one roof is really important to the sport.
Mm-hmm. That too. The thing moving on to the second part, I'm kind of in the middle. I don't want to say I'm red flag about Honda coming into the sport, because, like Zach said, I mean, we all want to see a different manufacturer enter the sport, right? But he hit it right on the head. It's just more so of, it's going to probably change the fundamental of racing, with Honda not running a V8. That's the part that kind of scares me a little bit, right? So I guess I'm a yellow flag on that one especially. So, but let's go take this one to Sunny now. What do you got, man?
I mean, there's not much else different I could say that you two have already mentioned. I guess for both parts, this is really just me dealing with familiarity versus unfamiliarity. Dodge and Ram, there's something I've been familiar with. I've been an older fan around the 2000s and 2010s. So I'm definitely on board with them. Coming back to our sports and getting back involved, even though that the secret was kept so well that you would have thought Christopher Bell would have leaked it. And Honda, as for the Honda thing, I'm not one to just completely shoot down the idea and throw them right back into the garbage can, but any concerns about them are legitimate, especially in as aforementioned before, sports like IndyCar in which Honda has major development in. So obviously, any major engine model changes would be jarring and concerning for a lot of reasons, and it's understandable that a lot of fans would feel unease by it. But again, I'm not gonna completely throw them away. If they beat our expectations, good for them. But so, green flag for Ram, yellow flag. Yeah, green flag for Ram, and then yellow flag for Honda.
You're basically on the same track I am, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to Checker on that one.
I mean, I'm first up. I'm just gonna say green flag already for Ram because it's awesome to get finally a new manufacturer out besides the same old shit for the last, how so many years. Like, we're finally stepping forward a little bit into the light. Trucks is gonna be awesome next year, of course, with Dodge and everything. Well, the Ram and Dodge, but it's gonna be pretty cool to see them back in the sport. I just don't think it's time yet to leap up to Cup yet. I'd say see what you're gonna do first. See what where you want to stick at, and see what, of course, NASCAR and what others want to agree with. I mean, I'd like to see a Cup Series, with they're on with Dodge and all that, but I like to see how the trucks is first to see how they're doing this year. So I'm not going to say too much because you, AJ, and Zach already covered half of everything. But I'm green flag of that. But with Honda and all that, truthfully, I just think if they want to go for it, there's got to be some circumstances, of course, with the manufacturer and NASCAR and see what they want to do. But truthfully, if the money is, I mean, not really the money, if the landing is right for both, the manufacturer and NASCAR, sure, it'd be nice. But for right now, I'm kind of yellow flag as well for basically the rest of you guys. So I have no other short terms.
Well, I do want to touch on the money part for a second because you're actually right, because money does kind of play a factor into this too, right? Because NASCAR, I mean, at least to my knowledge, they don't have a pre-Gen 7 mold for a Honda, right? So Honda would have to design that. The question is, would they use the Honda Civic or the Honda Accord?
That's good. That's actually a very good question. I'm not a big Honda person, so I can't really tell you on that. But truthfully, whatever you think is best for the model, truthfully, it's up to them. I'm really curious.
I can't imagine that they don't go for the Accord because I mean everybody knows the Civic. I mean it's not even a question. I think maybe the marketing, the Accord is a little more like for the American market, a little bit bigger car that maybe they might want to lean into.
Right.
And of course, I'm just saying, if this whole electric car situation turns into a series at some point, like its own thing, I could totally see them using one of their crossovers as being something like what is it, the HSV or something, HLV? I don't
The
even know.
HRV.
HRV, yeah, that thing. I could totally see them using that for that, and maybe that's what they want to do. If they want to go do an electric car thing, by all means. If you want to dump some more money into the sport, have at it. I don't really care, as long as we're not changing the fundamental of what the Cup Series is. Then I'm golden.
Yeah, honestly, I agree with Zach on that one. Honestly, yeah, I'm just like I said, no other explanation. I'm just yellow flag on the Honda part, and I'm green flag, of course, on Ram being back. But honestly, at this point, if we're having a Honda, just send it to Rick Ware at this point. Lol.
Channing, I assume you agree with the rest of us.
I'm just here. I'm just blatantly here just to exist and just listen to everybody. So for the first part, I gotta go green flag with the Ram truck brand coming back, and for the Honda part, I gotta go yellow flag as well. So I agree with every single one of you.
All right, well, that's fair enough. So let's get to the next topic. Oh boy. Contact in turn one, I'm sorry. Contact between Daniel Suarez and Cole Custer in turn one causes a multi-car wreck involving Alex Bowman, sending him into the wall head on. Green flag, red flag, Sonny.
Well, I mean, this is just red flag. I mean, I hate having to come back to this conversation about hard hits with the next gen, but it seems like if the right circumstances align it, there will be something that comes out about someone being injured or someone having a concussion. And unfortunately, HA, I know this strikes all too well for you, considering Kurt Busch's career went down. So, like, and like the worst part of it too is that this isn't the first time Alex Bowman has had major hits with the next gen. Like 3 years ago, back in Texas, what looked like just a normal back end crash wound up being him missing almost the rest of the playoffs. So like it's just I hate having to like have these conversations that I don't really want to be doing, but like just the rate of speed and then like the impact of it, and then considering a lot of other crashes the next gen has had, it's just
It's alarming.
yeah, it's too worrying for me. It's somebody's gonna get seriously hurt, and I really don't wish that upon anyone. So I'm obviously glad Bowman is checked to released. He's evaluated, but I'm just hoping that guy isn't put through any more stress because he's already had one hit. He doesn't need another.
Well, talk about Bowman for a second, because before this wreck at Michigan, I mean, as far as I was concerned when he hit that wall, right? Because he hit that wall head on. Obviously, I'm red flag for a driver hitting the wall head on, right? Because we don't want to see a driver get hurt. I don't care if it's as much as I don't want to say this. I don't care if it's Joey Logano. I don't care if it's Austin Hill. I don't care if it's Sheldon Creed, right? Any driver. We don't want to see a driver get injured. Absolutely not. I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is. I know I said that twice. I apologize. It's more of the fact of what's the word I'm looking for here? It's more of the fact of it gets really concerning seeing this car take as many hits as it takes, right? And Zach could probably fill in the, explain this better than I could. It's more of the fact of since 2022, how many concussions have a driver had with this next gen?
Oh man, it's got to be at least 3 notable cases. I know.
Busch.
Yeah, Kurt Busch. I know Cody Ware had a bad one. I know
Geez.
Alex Bowman. He was at the Texas. It was the Texas crash. He had a pretty bad one. And but let's reset for a moment. Like I guess I take a little bit of a different stance than you guys do with this a little bit. I think it doesn't matter what car that we're in. Michigan is a fast track. If somebody gets turned hard, right hooked into the outside turn 1, turn 2 wall, it's going to be an ugly crash no matter, what it's in. I am a little concerned as far as the rate of concussions that we've had, but again, he's complaining of back pain as far as I'm aware, from what I saw. It was mainly his back that was the concern, as far as them thinking, oh, maybe we need Anthony Alfredo. We'll see if anything comes of that. But at the end of the day, I think that's a bad hit no matter what. I think it's probably worse in the Xfinity car. I think we've seen easily that bad of a wreck with the Xfinity car. I'm a little concerned at how many back injuries we've seen, because we saw Eric Jones and Talladega. That was a pretty bad one. I think he actually had fractures. And it seems like Alex Bowman, we don't know the extent of his actual back injury. Maybe it was, just being sore. But either way, I'm a little concerned with that. I think they have gone leaps and bounds better than what it was in 2022. 2022, I mean, this car was downright dangerous for hits like that. But now I feel like you're seeing less and less of that. I think that it's just a bad hit no matter what. It's at the worst possible place that you could get turned into the wall. You just all of a sudden the wall's there. Not to be Fox right now, but thank God for the safer barrier. It's just kind of one of those things where, like, I feel like no matter what, that probably is an ugly hit, no matter what car we're in, no matter what generation we're in. And, I hope that maybe they take that car and they continue to learn and get better. I know that at one point, obviously I listen to Ty Gibbs every week, so that's kind of what I base a lot of my experience off of. And I know that there has been more than one occasion where Ty has said over the radio after he's been in a wreck, like, man, like that was a super, super hard hit. And he's had some ugly ones. He got his bell rung at Phoenix last year at the end, the finale.
Oh, yeah.
He got his bell rung pretty bad there. I don't know what the actual extent of those injuries were, but he said himself that he got his bell rung there. So, and I mean, doesn't really surprise me. So I think there is always room for refinement. I think that that's probably an ugly wreck no matter what, but I hope that they just continue to keep getting better and better with the next gen. I think there's always room for improvement, but I guess I don't know what's the green flag or red flag part of this. Red flag for the wreck. Green flag that NASCAR continues to try to refine and make the next gen better.
Right. I couldn't really. That was kind of on me because I couldn't really. I was trying to make that like a 2-pointed question, I guess, more so of since 2022 has the next gen really improved safety wise?
Absolutely. Yeah, we are not seeing. I mean, again, I hate talking about the Kurt Busch wreck because, like, it's so sad to me that that's the way that he went out. And as a fan, like, it's heart-wrenching to see him have to quit the way that he did, and by the way, have a head injury that has clearly affected him in life. Something that has lingered and he's had to deal with consistently. And I think it's probably a culmination of a bunch of injuries that he suffered through his career, and it sort of just all led to that. But I think that, like, when you go and look and see the different things that they have done to this car, whether it be softening up the front, softening up the rear, having different crush panels in different areas. I mean, go back to 2022, you'll see some similar crashes. You do not see the front, like Alex Bowman's car, the front of his car is destroyed. I mean, completely folded in the front. If you go back to 2022, you don't see nearly as much actual crumple to the front of the car. And so there is obviously room for improvement. And I mean, you could say that about just about every aspect of the next gen. But I think that they have certainly gotten better. I mean, we've seen some pretty ugly wrecks in the next gen era. And it seems like the more innocuous the wreck, the worse injuries it's had. I mean, Kurt Busch's didn't even look that bad. And then you have Ryan Preece, who wrecks in multiple different ways and is totally fine. So, again, I don't want to give them too much credit because I think that they may have more work to do with the next gen, but at the same time, like, let's give them a little bit of credit with some of the things that they've changed as far as making some of those developments that have kept people more safe.
So I want to touch, since you brought that up, as a Kurt Busch fan, I do want to touch on that for a second because I think I've mentioned it here before and I'll mention it here again. Everyone keeps saying, I know I shouldn't really rely on Twitter, but there's kind of a reason why I rely on them for this one. Leading up to that crash at Pocono, nobody understands how many hits he actually took that year. Well, let's see. He took a hit at Daytona when Truex hit him. He took a hit at Coda I mean, let me go back a second. He also took a hit at the Coliseum, which, keep in mind, that was only 50 miles an hour, but that was a hard hit, right? And he said that was the hardest, probably one of the harder hits he's ever had, right? And then you have the hit at Talladega when on the last lap when Larson was being Larson, as always. And then you had, I think it was Charlotte too, in the 600. He had a pretty hard hit too. I think more so those hits combined may have played a factor in that concussion. And like you said, that hit wasn't the hit at Pocono just did not look like that hard of a hit. But do you also think too, I mean, he's in his 40s. Do you think age might play a factor in that too?
I think age obviously plays a factor of it. I think, you just talked about the 1 year. Let's talk about the entire 20 years of his career where he got into a lot of wrecks, So, and especially in an era he was brought up in an era where you didn't talk about that, right? You didn't talk about head injuries. So we don't actually know like how many head injuries he's potentially had in his career. And I think that you get to the next gen and then you just start adding up, and then you tack on the fact that he's, up there in age. I just think it's just it was a perfect storm of bad things to happen. But again, that's what worries me about a guy like Alex Bowman. You start stacking injuries and you start stacking these things up, you start stacking head injuries and things like that. You end up in a situation like Dale Jr., where, Dale Jr.'s head injuries started stacking up. And so you have to really keep an eye on it. And I mean, I would definitely argue that Alex Bowman, his performance has been affected by his injuries. Maybe not all the way through, maybe not, I don't know, maybe not right now, but there has been times where he has had those problems. And it worries me that, you continue having injury, that you just never really get back to your old self. That worries me for him.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree. So I apologize. This one is a little bit longer, but I mean, there are some really good things to talk about here. So I'm going to take this one to Checker now.
First off, God bless. Of course, God above. God bless that Bowman. Came out unscratched. Of course, we're happy that we're happy that of course drivers come out safe and sound. But holy shit. I remember watching that we were watching that race on Sunday, watching it on Prime. I was like, holy shit. That was like the nastiest hit I've seen from the next gen in a while. Like that was like rough. Steep for Alex Bowman, of course. Red flag, of course, for the wreck. That was very nasty. And truthfully, I'm kind of glad, they're trying to fix it the next gen day by day, like you and Zach have mentioned many times before. It's great, but truthfully, I don't want to, make a long, spew on it. But first, I was green flag, of course, Alex Bowman being safe, but I'm just red flag, of course, on the whole wreck that happened to Bowman. It's unfortunate. Honestly, it just feels weird because we were just talking about how I've seen a lot of videos, and of course, like talking about Bowman, how Bowman had like one of the most interesting seasons. Of course, he was running good in the playoffs last year. Then he just this team has just been struggling to do anything this year, and it's just a lot of things questionable. But like honestly, I have no other words to say except I'm just red flag on this right now.
So I hate that I have to make this comparison, but I got to bring Zach in this one too. Do you think, with all the injuries Bowman has had and all the success he's had too, does this remind you a little bit of like, oh man, I hate making this comparison, I really do, but in a way it kind of reminds me of Steve Park when he was at DEI, right? He won 2 races, then he just got plagued with injuries.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at Steve Park's career, he's at the time, you could say Dale Earnhardt Incorporated was maybe not quite on Hendrick's level as it is now, but was definitely a very, very good team. And Steve Park was a guy who was winning races, and he was out there and he was killing it. And then it just seemed like injury after injury after injury, and it just took him down. And it's hard to not see that sort of echo of history. I guess the one benefit that Alex Bowman has, and thank God he has it, is that medical science is totally different now.
Right.
Having the ability to have all these scans and understanding what CTE is, understand what all these, different, how these hits affect your brain, safer. Even this car, with all its flaws, is still safer than the Gen 4. I mean,
Oh, by miles.
by a lot. And so I definitely think that he has that benefit. So I hope that he's able to not go down that Steve Park road, but it is eerily similar and it is a little concerning. Again, if you're a fan of the sport, you should not want anybody to have injuries after injury after injury after injury. So even if I'm not a Team Hendrick fan, I still want him to succeed and do well. And so I hate even comparing him to Steve Park, and what happened with him, because Steve Park's kind of a legend in his own way.
Yeah.
So I hate that maybe we are even thinking about comparing him. So I'm hoping that his injury history kind of fades away a little bit. Like maybe he can just get back to racing and not get right hooked into the wall constantly, like it seems like he does.
Right. I wasn't trying to make that as like an insult to what Steve's done in his history.
Yeah, no, of course not.
But it's just the way that pattern I've seen with Bowman over the last couple of years is just way too eerily similar. But I agree. I really don't want to see that in him because he's like only in his 30s, right? So he's still got a lot of life in him left in him, racing wise, and I don't want to see him out of his ride by like age 35 because of a concussion. That's what I was trying to get at with that, right? So, but Channy, I don't know if you're back, but do you have an opinion on this?
The only thing that I would like to say, like during this whole entire thing, is that I'm just so glad that nothing bad happened to Alex Bowman once he hit that wall, because I know NASCAR posted the replay and I was watching it during Michigan, and that seems like a very hard hit. Even his back tires flew up once he hit the barrier. But
yeah, it was off the ground.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to agree with every single one of you, so this is a red flag for me.
So, one more thing I want to touch on that wreck. How many G's do you guys think that wreck was? I have to say it was had to have been at least 20, 25 G's.
Yeah.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
I mean,
Ugh.
again, not to be Fox, but thank God for the safer barriers, because if we didn't have that kind of technology, I feel like these injuries would be so much worse than what they are.
Is it bad when you first said that? I immediately heard that. With the way you said that, I immediately heard it in Kevin Harvick or Clint Bowyer's voice.
Yeah, or just Mike Joy being like, thank goodness for that.
Well, if you were Fox, then there would have been an ad break with 5 minutes left of the episode.
That's true. Hey, we have time.
Yeah, we just gotta throw the extra Wheaties commercial. You're good.
Anyways, on to the next topic. All RF3. Wow, let me try that again. All three RFK racing cars score top 10 for the first time since Daytona in 2016. Oh, I'm gonna go with, you know what, Zach.
I'm glad you did, because I want to. I mean, first off, good for them. Green flag, great job. But I want to take it a little bit of a different direction, because as those of you that are fans of RFK know, they've struggled this year. I mean, Ryan Preece has done well, all things considered, considering his history in there. Buescher kind of been around, but has struggled a little bit. And then I mean, Brad, God bless him. I mean, he's finally starting to come around a little bit, and I know how he feels, exactly how he feels. But I'm kind of curious, as RFK fans, are you I mean, I know Roush is literally in the name, but are you wondering like what happens with their Ford deal when Dodge comes around? Like, you have to wonder, like, if they continue to have the struggles that they've had earlier in the season, right? Obviously they strung together a good one for a race. They had top 10 all across the board. That's great. But you have to wonder, like, do you see them maybe thinking about switching to Dodge as RFK fans? I'm just really curious.
Me personally, I want to say no because I can see why you say that. Also, too, on the standpoint of I kind of spin that to when Brad was at Penske for the first 2 years, and
Exactly.
he drove for Dodge, right? I
Yep.
can see why you say that. I think logistically, if you're Brad and Jack Roush, because I mean Jack Roush has been dedicated to Ford since like the '80s, right? So that's a tough one to say, right? But I think that's more so of would it make sense logistically and financially, right? So I wouldn't mind it personally, right? It's a different change of pace, because Ford, ever since Ford went to the dark horse body, I feel like I don't want to say all four teams have struggled, but RFK especially, they've really not been not so great, compared to 2023, they've been struggling, and it kind of sucks to see that because 2023 was like more so of oh, this is great, they're so back, right? And everyone was hyping them up so much for 2024, and it's like it was a complete 180, right? And which sucks because they actually had a couple good races in 2024. Well, we don't talk about that godforsaken Kansas race. But looking at Buescher specifically, should have won Kansas, should have won Darlington, should have won at Sonoma, and there's a lot of races I could think of he should have won. Same with Brad, right? And
Well, I'm
I don't
glad
know.
though. I'm glad though that you mentioned that, because one of the things that I was thinking, and the reason why I even considered the fact that they might switch to Dodge, is because it feels like Ford just kind of like prefers Penske. Like it just feels like they don't put as much into RFK. Like, it doesn't feel like RFK and Penske are equals at all. It definitely feels like RFK is a step down from an outsider standpoint.
Mhm.
I would say that there could be a real benefit to switching to Dodge, because if Dodge comes in with a lot of money and they're very dedicated, if you have RFK, who they know how Ford developed, they kind of had that whole situation with them where they are, I don't know, what is it, preferred partners or something. What do they bring to the table? I can't see Dodge coming in and being like, yeah, we're going to just completely make a new team, and we're just going to get in with somebody that
No.
has no experience. But if you look at it this way, if they went with RFK, then they can also get with Rick Ware. Now they have 4 cars immediately. And I just think it's one of the few places where it would make sense for Dodge to come in down the road. And it would also kind of explain a little bit why you might see some RFK fall off in the next year or so.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. When you put it in that perspective, yeah, then yes, it makes sense. But because realistically, I don't see Penske going back to Dodge. I don't see it happening because, like you mentioned,
No.
they're too loyal to Ford. So, no, I agree. Sonny, what do you think, man?
You mentioned the Kansas race last year. It's all right. We don't talk about the other Kansas race. Well, back on topic. I personally think this is a green flag because RFK Racing, in my opinion, they have a lot more speed and work than what people give them credit for. And like all 3 of these guys are just real. They have really good reason for you to root and push for them. You got Chris Buescher, obviously, the shining star out of the 3, the fastest one. And if it weren't for that penalty he had earlier, he'd be a little bit higher in the standings than he would be. So it's good to see that he's getting that big rebound and all the points he needs to get back up there. Ryan Preece, he was in a sinking SHR boat when the team was literally closing down, and he got picked up to RFK, and look what he's doing right now. He's had lots of speed, lots of good runs. He just needs strategy to go his way, and now he's on the bubble battle with an opportunity for his first ever playoff berth. And then Brad Keselowski, don't let 32nd in points fool you. Look what he's done to the team. Like, before he took over, RFK, Roush was just they were struggling. They were a shell. Like, they were not themselves at all. And then, of course, you got to go back to when Brad Keselowski had his truck team and all the drivers he developed, and now look what he's done to RFK. I think it just exemplifies just his brilliance as a team leader, and I'm really glad RFK's found their footing, and I hope that really all three of these guys can just convert at least one performance into a win this year, because this team deserves a lot.
Zach, I saw you on mute for a second. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, man, he's talking about Ryan Preece. Talk about a turnaround. Ryan Preece has really impressed me this year, because I was looking at Ryan Preece last year. I was like, man, what is this guy even doing? And in fairness, he was in an SHR car, but like, the other guys would show like glimmers of hope, but it just seemed like Ryan Preece was just drowning all year long. And then for him to show up in an RFK car, and that feels like every week I'm going, man, he might actually be the best out of the three of them if they could put like a really good team around him. It feels like that's just sort of a new situation for him. But I mean, his car's had speed, he's had speed. I'm really impressed with Ryan Preece, and Chris Buescher's Chris Buescher. I don't even need to say anything about him. Like, he's just a good race car driver. Period. He's a quiet guy. He kind of, I hate to invoke this name, but he's very Chase Elliott-esque in the way that he just quietly goes out there and does his thing. But I feel like those two drivers are a really solid combination. And then he mentioned Brad K and what he's done with the organization. They've done a great job with having, putting together an organization that's really good. And I think when Brad K does eventually decide to hang it up, I think they're going to be in a great place. I don't know who they maybe pick up, maybe like I don't know, Caden Honeycutt type, maybe. But, I think RFK is going to be in a great place. It's just a matter of like, do they stick with the Ford camp, or do they flip over to Dodge or somebody else? So yeah, but I agree with what Sonny was saying about evaluating their drivers. Like, I think they're really they're in a great place, and then he's right. Their positions are not indicative of what kind of speed they can bring.
First and foremost, you brought up that point about Chris Buescher being Chase Elliott-esque. Well, here's the difference here. Chase Elliott didn't turn left into Titans.
This is true, and I'm very glad that we have officially brought this up, because this has been brewing between you and I. But yeah, that whole situation with everything was totally fine until the RFK admin decided to try to point some fingers, and then I had to just break out some evidence that shows, like, he turned left just way too late.
It'd be quicker than that.
yeah, yep. Use the brake and the wheel. Turn left and use the brake. It's so easy.
So he's got to go. He's got to go turn right to go left. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
But no. I definitely agree. Who haven't? Oh yeah, Checker.
First off, once again, I'll say it. I'll say it again. Hallelujah times free. Honestly, we had a rough standstill with RFK this year. I mean, if you take it to perspective, Buescher, of course, having that penalty, but again, getting that reversed. Priest's disqualification, which was really a blow, really bad blow, and of course Brad's just whatever the fuck he is right now. But honestly, it feels like we're trying to turn the wheel. Like, we're trying to turn the wheel on, like, getting things back again to normal. Of course, Buescher back in the above the cutoff line. Priest swimming a little bit. Brad's just just chilling. But I still believe there's still hope for Brad. I still think there's a few good tracks, like of course Mexico City, all that. There's a lot of certain tracks that we can have luck on for Brad. But honestly, like truthfully, I think deep down we're gonna find a way to keep going for RFK. I just don't think we're not gonna be done yet. Honestly, I'm green flag course. I'm happy about the results, about the top 10 we got at Michigan last week, and I truly think that there's some sparks there. There's some sparks that are coming finally back to those RFK cars to life, and I'm really curious to see how they do. This upcoming week at an international track like Mexico City, and see how we can keep going.
So I wanted to touch on that for a second with Mexico. As of, I think it was yesterday, all 132 haulers made it to the track safely, which that's good. I didn't know how many haulers NASCAR actually had combined with the two teams and everything else, right? So that's good. Jenny, did you want to chime in with this at all?
Sweet butter Jesus! Finally, we got all three RFK boys in the top 10. Finally.
Fair enough. All right.
I didn't even do my flag.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
With my reaction, I think it literally gives it away. So, green flag.
Yeah, that's why I was getting ready to move on to the next topic. I assumed you were a green flag. My bad. All right, so for the next topic, because I know a lot of us didn't really watch the truck race, but who in here actually did watch the truck race?
Unfortunately, me.
Yep,
So what? So I think I gave up hope on the truck race after the one championship. Anyways, we won't talk about that though.
Zach, you watched the truck race, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. Moving on to the next topic. The truck race ended in 3 times overtime, but in the end, Stuart Friesen got his first win since 2022, snapping a 72 race winless streak. Well, before I even go to anyone on this, so how actually was the truck race?
It was
Before or after the gabillion cautions.
Before.
Oh, before it was a pretty decent race. Before that,
Were you gonna say something?
I was just gonna say that it was all right, and then that happened.
All right. So what happened that led to all the cautions?
Lane Riggs had debris, and then it triggered the first overtime, and then they had a Talladega-sized big one, and then there was another caution, and then they finally had the last restart.
see, this would be a really fine time for somebody to have like a caution soundboard.
Yeah, no kidding.
I think you guys can go ahead and mark that down in your notes. Maybe add that to your repertoire of your soundboards. But yeah, definitely one of those caution breeds caution situation where you know how it is. Trucks, they just start crashing into each other on restarts. I mean, people forget how to drive, people forget how to hit the brake and the gas, and it's just a mess.
Well, I was about to say, as far as the Stuart Friesen deal goes, I'm green flag. Good to see Stewie get it back into victory lane. He's a really good racer. On dirt especially. So I think it was on Door Bumper Clear that Freddie Kraft mentioned he's got like a crap ton of dirt racing wins. Like he's got like over 400 dirt racing wins, and it's kind of cool to see that point of a dirt racer making it out here on asphalt and concrete. What you can really do, right? So, I mean, and he owns his own team. He's doing very well. It's just good to see that underdog win, right? So I'm definite green flag on that. Zach?
Yeah, I mean, I'd echo that. Stuart Friesen's kind of a throwback guy. He's sort of kind of an old school type racer where he's kind of doing his own thing in his own shop, and he's just. Yeah, I think I saw something that said he has like 7 employees total, which is crazy. Right, that a team is running on that small manpower, and being successful and not like just riding around the back all the time. Like he's consistently up there in the top 10 to 15, and obviously he was able to string together a win after a bunch of chaos. But hey, to to the victors go the spoils, basically. You know, he was there at the right time, and I mean, he on that final restart, he just drove away. I mean, there was just nothing anybody could do. But you know, listen, the Truck Series had been going through a really nice stretch of not having these sort of shit show finishes, and I feel like we're kind of back where we used to be as far as that's concerned. I mean, we had I think we had one restart where we had all the front trucks just wrecked each other. Like people spun the tires, and people are running in the back of each other. Corey Himes just blowing through the back of somebody, and I think it was maybe was it Gio Ruggiero maybe, or Tanner Gray? I'm not really sure which one, who was in front of him, and they all it was just a disaster. So that's unfortunate. You know, I hate it when a truck race turns into a shit show. But I think, yeah, I feel like we don't even need to say it at this point, but like, you know, when you have, I think, was it Eric Brennan, the guy that was doing play-by-play for this one?
Yes,
I think it was Eric. Yeah. I think it was Eric Brennan. And he's great. Love him. But like the Fox production was just atrocious as usual, as far as, you know, camera angles and things like that. I think there was one particular wreck where we just didn't even have a replay until quite a bit later. I feel like this is my opportunity to get up on the soapbox for a moment. Please, for the love of God, NASCAR, get a new contract for the Truck Series. Get on somewhere else. Go with a CW. I don't know, whatever you got to do, but like get off of Fox and hire Eric Brennan as your full-time guy in the booth. Like that, the Truck Series could be a lot better. You know, get rid of, ignore the way that the last race finished. It was a pretty good race up until then. There's a lot of storylines, and there's a lot of interesting people that are in the Truck Series, and I feel like we don't get enough of that. It's just not as good as it could be. And that's me on my soapbox. That's me preaching to all of you.
So actually, I have a weird thought, and I've been thinking about this too. What if the Truck Series went to Prime Video?
I mean, listen, I'm down. The Prime has been amazing. Maybe they don't have quite the resources for the Truck Series that they would have for Cup.
Yeah.
You know, I get that. But man, the Truck Series got to figure something out, because it's sad. Like the Truck Series is so entertaining if you just take away all the broadcast elements most weeks. Obviously, Eric Brennan is an exception to that, right? Like he makes things fun. But like when it's Jamie Little and Michael Waltrip up there, it is just like just horrible. I mean, just atrocious. And it's sad, because I love those two people outside of doing that. Like what they've done for the sport is great, but God, the Truck Series needs some help. I mean, it really needs some help with marketing and getting out there a little better, because it could be great. Like they could have made that shit show at the end of that race 100 times better, with being like, oh my God, there's another caution, and you know, and then have all the camera angles in the world. I mean, it's so unfortunate that the Truck Series is what it is right now.
Yeah, and this isn't the first case of this too, because you know, especially the way I look at it too is like, Fox as a whole is just gone severely downhill in the last like 5-10 years when it comes to, you know, camera angles and everything else. I don't care if it's regular Fox or FS1 with the Truck Series. Even when it was with the Xfinity Series, it's just you notice there was a major decline, and it's really unfortunate because all three series have their own good form of racing, which is why I watch all three series. You know, right? But it's just, I think from a broadcasting perspective, it really makes a huge difference, right? For years, we've heard people complain about Fox being horrible with the Cup, you know, especially the Daytona 500. Especially, it's just camera angles were horrible.
Yeah, and the Truck Series, you know, deserves better. Like the Truck Series is sort of where we should be having all of our youngest guys coming up, and then maybe some of our, you know, the Matt Craftons of the world, being able to like really cultivate that talent. And it feels like it's just a sideshow, and it shouldn't be that. It should be more fun. And so, you know, I think the racing up until the shit show yesterday was an indication of how good the Truck Series could be if we just put some more time into it and or I mean, NASCAR puts more time, puts more money, get a better deal for them. It's just unfortunate that it seems like, I don't know, maybe they don't care. I'm not really sure. Maybe it's just not worth enough money to them, but it could be worth a hell of a lot more money if they would actually care about it.
Well, here's an idea. I know this would be a stretch, but what if they moved the Truck Series to Flow Racing? How would anyone?
I mean, listen, you got enough problems with the way people look at the streaming element of Prime, right? Like people look at Prime right now, and I feel like they just, you know, they just they just bitch about it a lot. That's the easiest way to put it. And Flow is like worse. Flow is, people look at that as being a lot more expensive, something totally extra. At least Prime is something that like most people have anyways, just because it's something that comes secondary to having your normal Prime subscription. Where it's just like Flow is just Flow can be very frustrating. Maybe if Flow got more backing, maybe if Flow got more, NASCAR involved in their actual production, like they merge with NASCAR production. Maybe that's something that could happen in the future. But like right now, I think where Flow is, I mean, listen, if any of you guys have ever watched a Flow event where it's been something that a lot of people have tuned in for, like a Dale Jr. race or something, they struggle.
Oh God.
They struggle so bad. And so, I don't really love the prospect of Flow taking a major national series. They have some of the ARCA races, and I feel like that's like plenty for them right now. I like what they've done with High Limit. I like what they've done with the Cars Tour, but they've got to beef up their infrastructure before they can take on a national series. But again, if NASCAR or whoever could like buy them and then put money into them and grow them, maybe you see Flow take over something in the future.
Yeah, I definitely agree. When you mention that, I mean, I totally forgot about the whole fiasco when Dale Jr. ran at Myrtle Beach and the stream was just awful. I totally forgot about that. But I mean, that's totally fair. Gentlemen, I'm really sorry. These topics have been very lengthy. I apologize in advance. So, Sonny, did you want to say something, or did you say something already about this?
I am going to throw out two flags here. One of them's at the best end of the spectrum, and the other is at the worst. Firstly, the 3 overtimes part.
Unnecessary.
Black flag.
Oh.
If a race goes into utter shit that almost forces me to watch Corey LaJoie almost win the race 30 seconds after he declared he was not going to race in front of 12 people, I would have got into nuclear hysteria that I may have actually left the sport entirely and moved on to freaking golf simply because I can't stand the fact that Corey LaJoie can say that and then he goes on and does this shit. Like, what the fuck?
I shouldn't be laughing.
Okay, alright, I got that out.
I take it brother does not like Corey LaJoie, like not.
Oh no, he hates him. He has a personal vendetta with Corey LaJoie, especially after Pocono last year.
To each his own.
Okay, but more actual serious note. I'm giving this black flag simply because a race shouldn't fall apart that badly coming to the finish. Like, the finish is arguably the most important part of really anything. Like, a finish should be memorable, it should be exciting, or at the very least, it should reward the person that deserves to win. But then you have one little accident, and then everything else falls apart, and like, that just shouldn't happen. And I feel like, listen, I love some overtime, but like, I feel like the unlimited attempts kind of enable this. Like, there's no boundaries or no guidelines to how everyone should race. It's literally boys have at it, and then it results in restart after restart after restart. So like, I'm really disappointed that even just a decent race just had to be tainted by whatever was at the finish. But I will be throwing out a checkered flag for my buddy Stuart Friesen, because you know what? It's about time somebody broke their drought. And as we mentioned earlier, Stewart is just a really good guy that races hard, puts it hard, and then his team, the underdog, and by competing for years as a veteran. Last win was a couple of years ago at Texas, I believe, in 22, and now he's back there. He's up at the front, and now he's got that win. Has a chance at the playoffs where literally anything could happen. Why not? Let's have him run the tables. Let's see what happens. So really amazing job by Stewart. I'm really glad that he got to break that winless streak. So checkered flag for him, and then black flag for the overtime fiasco.
Becker? Crickets? Hello?
Sorry,
Becker?
my phone's being fucking stupid. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Well, let's see. Oh my god, I'm out of breath. Holy shit, hold on.
Breathe.
Well, when you're lifting up a table to help out with mowing, it's a pain in the ass. But, besides all that, of course, I'm happy. Of course, green flag for Stewart. Good reason. God bless him. Awesome win for him. But, obviously, red flag, of course, for the overtime. 3 overtimes. That was just a fucking mess overall. I just think that the Truck Series just, it wants to be good, but it just, is utter dog shit sometimes because, you have all these fucking stupid, reasons to not learn the 101 how to drive, manual, but, it's just, I truly think that they just wish they can fix up some, wish they can actually learn how to drive on some stuff, keep it short and sweet, green flag at Stewart freezing, winning, and then red flag of the overtimes. Also, where were you where Flow Racing was creating the greatest race of all time, the Truck and ARCA series in the same route?
I think World War III would be happening if that was the case.
I think we actually break some sort of global record for most cautions.
Channing?
I'm just here so I don't get fined. Green flag for Stuart Freesing. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but red flag. What's up?
Friesen.
All right, and then red flag for the overtimes.
Just say Frosty and you're good to go.
Oh my gosh. All right, so this last one isn't necessarily a green flag, red flag. This is more of a question I wanted to ask everybody in here. So that question being, with the 2026 NASCAR schedule being released right around the corner, usually it comes out in July or August, usually. What are some tracks that haven't been raced at before, or haven't been raced at in years that you would like to see on the schedule? I'm going to go to Zach on this one first.
I'm glad you did because I have a couple thoughts on this. I think you have to kind of tier this into what is possible and what would be awesome but also outrageous and never going to happen. So what is possible? I mean, obviously the first thought is Montreal. I mean, the fact that we're even talking about Mexico City, we should be talking about Montreal. That one's sort of obvious, and I would imagine most people would say that, or at least that to have that thought process that we should at least think about going there. And then maybe another one that we haven't been to, I still think I don't know how even feasible this is, but maybe Sebring would be an interesting one. Sort of a different kind of track that I don't think people are totally used to seeing NASCAR at, as far as in recent memory. Maybe they've run something there before, but certainly I don't think they've ever run Cup there that I'm aware of.
They have not.
Yeah, so Sebring would be an interesting one. I'd love that track. So that would be a cool one. I know this is a very unpopular take, but one that is actually feasible would be Long Beach. I think that one would be crazy, especially when you have a car end up in the fountain, Austin Dillon. But
A little bit of a dive, just a little bit of a scuba diving.
Yeah, and you know, two tracks that I'm thinking about that may not be even in the neighborhood of feasible. Um, I mean, okay, let me hold on real quick. One that we haven't been to in a minute, Suzuka. We need to go back there.
Yes.
Suzuka East
Yeah.
Course. I love the Suzuka East Course. I would love to see that again. That's one of the greatest like oddball races ever that they ever ran. That would be a cool one. But two tracks that I don't think would be that feasible to go to just because of where they are and what it is. I think Silverstone would be a really, really cool one to go to. I can't even imagine the logistics of trying to do that if Mexico City is a nightmare. So going to the UK would probably be pretty crazy. Of course, going to Japan's probably even worse. So I guess, you know, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about here. But and then the other one is completely insane, batshit crazy. Tsukuba would be absolutely ridiculous, like the most ridiculous race. I don't even. You'd probably have to run it in heats because there's not enough pit boxes. But if you want to see chaos, short track racing on a road course, go to Tsukuba.
Drugs are you taking? What kind
So-
of drugs are you taking?
I mean,
Cuba?
come on, man. Like, just try it. Just try it on iRacing or something. Just get in a cup car, go to Tsukuba, and just see how much fun it is.
Oh dear lord. I mean, I'll take your word for it, but Sakuba? That I heard
great-
bits and pieces.
Great track.
I heard. Wait, what?
It's a great track, man. It's a great track, and it would be insane. Absolutely insane. Run trucks there. Who cares? I mean, you would half the field would have to wreck anyways. So there's not enough pit boxes, but you know, whatever. It's fine.
I mean, fair enough. I've heard about how crazy Sakuba is. I've only heard bits and pieces of that track, but I'm just like, really? For me personally, the biggest one I would love to see NASCAR return. This is going to be a very unpopular opinion, unfortunately. I would love NASCAR to come back to Kentucky. I know. Kentucky really was a snooze fest with the Gen 6. Well, mainly because of the 550 horsepower package, but I really think with the next gen, I think that car would be really awesome. You
In
know,
fairness,
because
in fairness, every intermediate for the most part was a snooze fest with the Gen 6, right? So
yeah.
totally unfair to I would love to see one race there just to see if it's any good. If it sucks, great, let it die, whatever. But it would be interesting to see that.
Yeah, and plus, I think with how rough Kentucky would be, I think, well, I mean, I don't know how much of a factor that would play on the next gen, but I feel like the rough edges of Kentucky would make the cars harder to drive, I think, right? And I don't know. I play a little bit of favoritism on Kentucky because it is my home track. I miss that track, okay? But I would like to see at least an Xfinity or a truck date, if that's feasible, right? Another one, I feel like I'm preaching to a crowd here, but please bring Chicagoland back. Please, for the love of God, bring Chicagoland back.
Yeah.
I miss you. Wait, what?
I was gonna say, yeah. I think we could preach to everybody here. We do not like the. Well, okay. The Chicago Street Race is nice and all, but we just need something new. Like, come on. Like, I think Chicagoland. I mean, you've seen, of course, the next gens with the like cans, all that. I think next gens would go well with, Chicagoland. That's just me.
I think that they should give Kentucky and Chicagoland like one race, and if it sucks, if it's terrible, if it's just the biggest garbage can race that you've ever seen, then maybe you say, okay, whatever, we won't go here again. But you have to give those two a chance. You have to give a track like Rockingham a chance. You have to I feel like everybody talks about freshening up the schedule. Well, there you go. Just have rotating tracks, that say, okay, this year we're going to try this one. If it's really good, we'll add it to the schedule, and then we'll get rid of a track that's got a repeat date. I mean, Bristol doesn't have the attendance that it probably should. Do you get rid of the Bristol night race? I don't know. I really don't know. That's a big questionable thing that a lot of people get mad about. But not every track needs 2 dates. I've been a Martinsville hater for as long as I can live. Okay, and I know I'm in the minority with that, but I don't think it needs 2 dates. I think most tracks don't need 2 dates. Getting rid of one of the Richmond dates opened the door to have I think this Mexico City race. I may be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that that's the spot that it took. Right. So I think all these tracks, the ones that have been on the schedule before, just get them on there for like a one-off. And if it's good, keep it. If it sucks, then it is what it is.
Or even worst case scenario, give them an Xfinity or truck day, right? Because Kentucky, especially Kentucky, was very popular with the truck series and Xfinity.
Yeah, but just to get off of that point though, like you want to see what these tracks can do for Cup, because Cup's the money, brings in the money, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't really, maybe Kentucky sucks for Xfinity, right? Because that car's probably more similar to the Gen 6 than the next gen is. But like when it comes to the next gen, the freaking car that was designed to go to intermediates, why are we not? We have more intermediates in this country. Let's try them. That's what I think, and I get there's like all this hate and vitriol for Chicagoland. There's hate and vitriol for Kentucky. But at the end of the day, like, let's see what they can do with the next gen. The next gen's not going anywhere, right? So might as well just use it for what it's worth, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Another track, I think this one might sound okay. So the two that we've never been to, I'm gonna play devil's advocate on the road course part for a minute. The two road courses I would like to see NASCAR at least give it a chance. One of them is Road Atlanta. I mean, the Cup cars have tested there for as long as I've known, right? Give it a try. I know the next gen sucks on road courses, but I don't know. Maybe it's because Road Atlanta is a different type of road course, because wouldn't you really have to set the car up for like two different, like an intermediate and a road course in a way? I think it would be worth a try, The other one, now this one might be batshit crazy, but Laguna Seca.
Oh, God. I can't wait till Ross Chastain launches it off of the top of the hill to go win the race. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Oh yeah. He's gonna Dukes some Hazzard it. But those are my pickings. Sonny, what do you got, man?
Now, this one's crazy, but just hear me out.
Okay.
It's a really popular destination. Lots of people love it. Lots of people have heard it, and it would kill to have a race there. And I think with just the magnitude and the aura of this event, it's going to be something wild. It's going to be something wicked. It's going to be something wonderful. What if we went to Los Santos, California?
Oh my fucking god!
Doesn't even exist.
The more you know. On this episode of What's Wrong with Her Now?
Saving that for a while. The other option was we go to Radiator Springs.
I feel so bad for Zach right now because he's never really encountered our banter before, and he's just like, "What the fuck is going on?"
I guess I'm just trying to figure out, like, if you say Los Santos, right? Like, is it a floating track in the sky? Like,
No. That's on Rainbow Road. That's Rainbow Road. It's a DLC 4.
Oh, okay, got it. 5 seconds ago we were talking about injuries, and now we're talking about jumps and having tracks in the sky. So I'm just saying, like, I'm a little concerned with the concept of that. But hey, go off. It's be a lot of money, I'm sure. Probably. It's just, people would die, but it's fine.
Yeah, everything's great.
We'll remove the restrictor plates.
Oh, good God. No, but seriously.
Well, I guess I wouldn't have anything too crazy on the international front, but I'd say like back at home, Kentucky and Chicagoland, like I get like the problems and issues they had, but like I'm a believer of don't knock it until you try. Like I know that's cheesy and that's kind of to say, but like at least just try it once. Like, throw it at the wall and see if it sticks. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You don't have to revisit it ever again. But, like, just give it a shot. Just see what the hell happens. Like, it'll be good for both sides. So, Kentucky, Chicagoland, Rockingham to the Cup Series level. North Wilkesboro, we'll have to we'll have to keep letting it do the All-Star race to see if it should be elevated to the points, kind of the points race season formula thingy. I don't this whole gimmick's confusing nowadays, but you get the idea. Yeah, that's really about it. Like, I encouraged ever since the 2020s, I really liked how NASCAR's been on the more adventurous front with their schedules and where they race at. So, like, I'm really glad they have this window, and I'm excited to see where they go next. Just don't let it be like F1. You go all the way to the Middle East. I will not approve that.
No, I was more centered around that question, more so to around home. But I mean, some international tracks. I mean, I would like to see. I was asking that question mainly for all three series, but I mean, since we basically tied that with Cup too, mostly Cup, I would love to see Xfinity go back to Montreal, especially because I love Montreal. All right, it's like one of my favorite road courses as a kid. I will never forget that finish between Max Pappas and Boris Head in 2010. That's probably one of my favorite NASCAR finishes of all time. And I don't know. It's just I feel like there's a lot of potential for the Xfinity cars to go back there, especially. Hell, even Road America, maybe. I listen. Say what you want about Road America, but I feel like it actually raced good.
I love Road America. The only problem with Road America is that there's just not as much like the fan experience isn't quite. It's more of like a music festival type atmosphere and less of a destination. We're going to go watch a race event. So I guess if you know how to deal with that, then that's great. But like if that's not really your speed, like you just want to go to a race and go sit up in the stands and watch one, might not be the track for you. But it produces a great product, and I love it. So.
Yeah, and the other thing too, from a spotter's perspective, Road America was also a pain in the ass on the spotters too, because literally, I don't know how long Road America is. I know it's pretty long, but the problem with Road America too is you can't really get a whole lot of good service there because it's literally in the middle of nowhere in Wisconsin.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could say that about every single track on the schedule has terrible service once everybody shows up. So, I mean, nobody's gotten that figured out yet as far as like having perfect, connection and everything. But as far as the spotters are concerned, who gives a shit about them? This isn't Door Bumper Killer.
Damn, I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. Damn. Okay. True. We'll go with that. But Checker. I'll go to Checker on this one. Did you have any ideas?
Oh my god, I almost fell asleep for that whole thing. So truthfully, obviously I want Chicagoland back. I just want to give it a shot because isn't like Chicago Street like the contract's like almost like sometime next year's expired or some shit from what I read online, or less like
yeah, and supposedly the city council and everything has been real reluctant to renew anything with them and stuff like that. And honestly, like I think if you're NASCAR, you're like, maybe we want to look for a different street race, or we want to look for something a little different in that area, because honestly, it's never really felt like they've been welcome by the city. So maybe it's something that maybe either A, you do the Chicagoland thing and you give that a chance, or B, you say, okay, we'll do a street race in Nashville, or we'll do a street race somewhere else, Long Beach, wherever they decide to do it. I don't see the Chicago street race thing sticking around much longer. I think it was a cool novelty and everything, but and I mean, it hasn't helped that they continue to have weather issues every time they're there. So, yeah.
Yep, gotta love the Illinois weather out here. But no, Chicagoland, I'd say give it a shot. Obviously, like I said I read online from J-Ski, said something about like they're talking about going to Brazil. I'm like, the fuck? I'm like, what? Why are we going to Brazil? What's the purpose of going to Brazil? I get it. Internationally, I get it, but like,
Brother,
why do we need to go to Brazil? Do we need to sacrifice Cody Ware or some shit? I don't know.
I mean, yes, but also no. It's kind of like with Brazil. I think it's more about there's this untapped market of people that are race fans in Brazil. And because, if you know anything about Brazil, you know about some of the lineage of some of the drivers that have come from Brazil. I think that they look at it kind of like professional bull riding, right? Professional bull riding, I mean, half of the professional bull riders are from Brazil. They have a massive following in Brazil. And I think that NASCAR and professional bull riding kind of have like this weird relationship with each other. See Austin Dillon that owns a team in professional bull riding, and several other people do too. But I think that you could definitely see Brazil be the next destination for NASCAR as far as like trying to branch out. Obviously, they have like this Hispanic market, whether it be Mexico City or in Florida and things like that. I think they've been trying to get that with Pitbull and with Daniel Suarez and all that. I definitely think Brazil is like the next stop on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, one more thing we'll touch upon. First off, that's the only two I can think of in the back of my head, but I'm going to ask an actual real question I'm going to pick your guys' brain real quick a little bit. Because Sonny brought up the fact, like, how North Wilkesboro is going to be the All-Star race for a good while and all that. For just unless it's cup contingent, like points contingent. The question is though, if they decide to move North Wilkesboro as a points race, what track do we expect or what track do you think should be the next All-Star race in your guys' opinions?
Charlotte.
I hate to agree with Zach on this one. I think they should bring it back to Charlotte. I mean,
why wouldn't you?
Yeah, right. It's literally in your backyard.
I mean, just have 2 weeks because you're going to have the All-Star race, you're going to have the 600 back-to-back, right? So why not just give 2 weeks since you've already said that you're not going to give additional time off to the drivers, right? Then just have back-to-back races at home so that they don't have to travel, and because let's be honest, man, the All-Star race has lost its luster a little bit. It's not as cool as it used to be. But bring it back to Charlotte. Let it. I mean, if we're gonna keep the damn Roval on the schedule, then give me at least a second race at Charlotte. That I can do something with, right? Like that's my opinion. I just think you are wasting probably your best type of racing by having the Roval. But if you're gonna keep the Roval, then at least have the All-Star race there. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I have to agree with him. I mean, and also it's more of a fact of keep it close. Like, it doesn't really necessarily have to be Charlotte. I mean, that would be the one that makes the most sense, but why not Darlington? Why not Rockingham, right?
Yeah, Rockingham. I know Rockingham's been talking about, like, why can't we have, if we decide to do Rockingham for Cup, why can't we just do it, like, as the All-Star race and see how the Cup, the next gens are on just to give it a test,
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you, but I think that NASCAR has showed, like, this weird reluctancy to actually use the All-Star race to test anything. Like they kind of fielded the idea of testing some things this All-Star race with the car, and the teams have said no. So it's like, I feel like they're just going to be like, okay, well, you guys don't want to play ball, then we're not going to do anything else with this. Like I feel like Rockingham is just too small of a market to bring the All-Star race to. But then you can make the argument that you don't want to have 2 races in a row at Charlotte because maybe it hurts your attendance for the 600. I could see that argument for sure, but maybe if you make it like a package deal, I mean, SMI's great at doing that sort of thing, making it some sort of package deal. I just think like it would be cool to experiment with stuff, but I feel like there's just not willingness from NASCAR and the teams to even do it.
Yeah. Anyone else want to chime in on this topic?
Me, since I haven't had a chance to speak my mind yet.
My apologies. We got so deep into this conversation, I totally forgot you were still here. I'm so sorry.
This has been our longest episode by far.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, in there in a second, Channy. I apologize. It's more of the fact of Zach being here. He's got some really good. He's brought up some really, really good points, and that's part of the reason why he's here. Being a fan of the sport for as long as he has, it's good to have that additional insight.
Yeah, building chemistry.
Go ahead, Channy.
So, kind of back to what Sonny said. I know how you mentioned about Los Santos, but what if we go somewhere a bit more popular, if you know what I mean.
Oh no.
What if we went to Motor Speedway of the South and raced for the Piston Cup?
Yes, let's go.
Cinema, absolute cinema.
Oh God.
Hear me out.
But
NASCAR 25 DLC. It's Disney sponsored. It has cars, right? And then for the All-Star race, they just everybody plays the game, right? Then we really could race for the Piston Cup. You know what I mean? Just
All
saying.
right, big question. Good question is if Ty Gibbs is in the game, does he get the Dynaco sponsorship?
That's a good question. The
Yeah.
question is though, if Carson Hocevar is in the field, is he is on the track for the Mater Race-O-Rama, game?
Oh, stop it. We don't talk about Carson Hocevar. We don't preach Carson Hocevar in this podcast.
I'll talk about Carson Hocevar.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Oh, Carson Hocevar, man. That guy. You would think he was the second coming of Christ. I mean, the way that they have talked about Carson Hocevar endlessly in the media, brother can't finish a race. I mean, he can't get it done. Like, maybe he will figure it out, but like, it just feels like he's that guy that just pushes way, 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 way too hard. Like, everybody's talking about how he was in the lead at Michigan. He was in the lead and he was going to run out of fuel. He was going to run out of fuel before Byron if he didn't tear it, knock a tire down. So, like, I think everybody needs to just pump the brakes a little bit on old Carson Hocevar. I don't think he's been strong. Don't get me wrong. They got great chemistry on that team for sure. And Spire has showed up this year. Good for them. But like, man, you would think he was God himself come down to grace us. You would think he was the second coming of Dale, the way that they talk about him in the media. It's like, brother, chill out. Like, he's good, but he ain't that good. And if you watch him actually race, I mean, he's just a loose cannon out there. Like, every time that he's anywhere near Ty, I'm like, oh God, here we go.
Unfortunately, I feel the same way when he's around Busher too, which and I feel like everybody could agree with that. But I mean, I think Carson is very talented. Do not get me wrong, but he goes in way over his head sometimes. And I mean, look at it back to the point at Michigan. I'll make this brief. I don't really think he was even saving any fuel because he wasn't going to make it.
He wasn't going to make it. There was no shot he was going to make it. I mean, zero shot. And then, for a tire to go down like that, yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. It's just, that's just kind of the way they are. Like, they just run full bore and then it just doesn't pan out for them. And I mean, again, maybe they get it figured out, but like, I'm not nearly as impressed as everybody else about Hocevar. Like, I don't, he's been fortunate. He's had some speed. They get the bounce down for him. Like, it just works for him, and that's great. But like, man, he can't finish races. And once he gets into the grasp of somebody that has more experience, it's just a matter of time before they get around him or before they figure him out and make him use up his stuff. He is not refined. He is all gas, no brakes. He's just not. I just don't see him being that guy yet. I mean, and again, maybe he gets a win this year, but he isn't going to win a championship. I'll go ahead and go on record. Ain't no way he's winning a championship this year.
Nope.
It's going to be a while.
I give it at least a couple years. Anyways, we'll get back to that in a minute. Channy, I am so sorry, dude. Go ahead.
You're okay. What other tracks I would like to see? Okay. To be kinda real, I haven't been around the sport for like, too long since I'm still kinda new to like, everything else, so I don't think I have another track in mind.
That's fair. So you would basically say Chicagoland, like what Checker said?
Yeah, the Chicagoland. Bring back CM Punk.
Oh no.
That is a whole different section of entertainment.
You know what? Yeah. You know what? Yeah. For Chicago, let CM Punk drive the pace car.
Now, okay, let's move on now.
So that's basically the end of the topic there, since we all pretty much reached that. I want to touch back on Carson Hocevar for a second. I have to agree with Zach. I don't think that 77 team is going to get a championship. I don't think they're going to make it as far as just the way he's running right now, because he's acting like he's a bull in a china shop, right? I don't think he knows how to use his head on some aspects, and trying to finish out a race is the biggest thing. Where do you see him if he does make the playoffs, either if it's on a win or by points, and he somehow gets lucky, gets above the cutoff line? How far do you guys see him making it?
I mean, honestly, like maybe second round. I could see him making the second round if he's able to get into the playoffs. And, right now it looks like he's going to get into the playoffs on points. I think,
Mhm.
like the way his trajectory is, if he continues to get better and better, I think he could definitely make it on points. Even though, like, I think in the standings he's a little buried right now, but like I think he could squeak it out if he can like figure out how to not try to win every race and try to like point his way in. Um, I think it's sort of the opposite problem for Ty. I think Ty just doesn't give a shit about points, and he's just trying to win every race. And it is what it is. So, but like going back to Carson, I just think he is gonna eventually figure it out. It's just a matter of time, and I think I just can't see it happening this year. That's why I think like if he's able to make playoffs, I mean, it's just maybe this. I'm gonna be really nice and say the second round, but I could see him being a first round exit easily, especially if he pisses people off. And I think is the first round? Do we have Bristol in the first round? Because if we have Bristol in the first round, he's cooked.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, he's screwed. Somebody's gonna destroy him.
Okay, so looking at the points, he's 18th right now. He's minus 18. He's 18 below the cutoff.
Yeah, he'll make it. He'll make it. He'll make the playoffs. I'm going to say he makes the playoff on points, and he's probably out the first round.
Yeah, I have to agree. It would be cool to see him make it to the second round, but I just don't think it's feasible. Just the way everything's going right now. Sonny, were you going to say something?
Personally, I'm not too sure where to stand on that question, because out of the bubble guys I see, Carson feels the fastest out of everyone, but it's this demeanor of risking too much and giving away too much. It's basically the whole thing I have with Kyle Larson, but the problem with Hostbar is that he doesn't have like the top 5 winning pace leverage that Larson would have. He's with Spire. They have to fight for their way for consistent performances and finishes. So like Carson could make those points back. He could wheel his way in and he'll make the playoffs, but it's all a matter of do not piss off the entire field and do not overdrive yourself to something you're going to end up regretting doing. So I'd say first or second round, maybe if Talladega was still in the round of 12, maybe, God forbid, the round of 8, but like, I don't know. I wouldn't be opposed to a Carson Hocevar deep playoff run this year, but if stuff like that just falls against his favor, then I don't think it'll quite end up the way he wants it to.
Yeah, I have to agree. All right, so moving on, we're going to go ahead and give our picks for Mexico City. And so we have the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series both going to Mexico City. Zach, who are your picks, man?
All right, so I make a habit as far as Cup is concerned. I don't like picking Ty just on a purely like I get superstitious about it. I don't like betting on him. I don't like doing any of that, even if I feel like he's going to do well. So for Cup, definitely not going with him. But I'm going to go back to Xfinity. He will win the Xfinity race. I'm going to call it Ty Gibbs wins the Xfinity race for sure, 100%. Lock it in. Okay. And then for Cup, I talked about it earlier. I just really feel like this guy has prepared for a year for this. He has a lot of pressure on him, but at the same time, I feel like he's a guy who he wants this more than anybody because this is his race. And that's why I have to pick Daniel Suarez. I just think Daniel Suarez, I think he has looked at this whole year and been like, I don't give a crap about any of that. I need to win Mexico City. I have the most experience at this track, probably. I would say more than anybody. I would say that he's probably run more races or had more experience with this track. He probably knows it better than anybody. I think that he has probably put more preparation into it than anybody. I feel like he's probably the most physically prepared over anybody else because I feel like he's been prepping for this. Maybe he has the most pressure, but I feel like he has the most payoff, right? So I just feel like Daniel Suarez is the guy to beat here. I feel like they have built him a rocket ship, and I just can't imagine Daniel Suarez doesn't at least place well, but I could totally see him winning this race, and that's why I'm going to pick Daniel Suarez.
You have a dark horse?
Yeah, dark horse, man, Michael McDowell.
Okay.
If Spire brings him a rocket ship the way they bring Carson Hocevar a rocket ship, and his team, I know that's sort of a new situation there too. That's hurt him a little bit, but I feel like Michael McDowell is a guy to watch. He also has a lot of experience at this track. He's older and maybe not as in good of shape, which concerns me a little bit. That's probably why he's in the dark horse category for me. But I definitely think he is a dude who you got to look at and be like, man, if he qualifies well, watch out, because if he gets out front, he's gonna gap the field. Like, I truly believe that. And SVG is somebody that you could look at too. I just feel like when it comes to SVG, a lot of people talk about his prowess on road courses, and I just look at it like, man, all of that kind of goes away when we talk about a non-street course. Like, he understands how to navigate a street course, and that's why he is so much better than everybody else at a street course. On a road course, the margins are narrowed. So he better hope that he has a good qualifying position, because if he doesn't, people are not going to let him get by. Like, he is going to have a hard time dealing with the the kind of shorter bits, the twisty turns, if you will. He might be able to pull some stuff off in the long straights, but to get to the finish line, you got to go through the short parts. And I feel like SVG is going to struggle a little bit with that, just because he's going to get bullied a little bit out there. I think people are going to target him specifically.
Yeah, I agree. I will take, for the Xfinity race, I got to go Ty Gibbs too. I think it's going to happen. I look back at what happened in Chicago. He had a really good race there last year, and it's just, I feel like he's going to get it done. He's been really good on these road courses. I got to go with him. Cup, I know I picked him last week, but I got to pick him again. I'm going to go good old Chris Buescher, because he's been really good on road courses with the next gen. He's had a top 10. It's every single next gen race on a road course except for one. I think a new track, I think it might work in his favor. A dark horse, I'm gonna go SVG for my dark horse. Sonny?
I'll just keep this simple. 2 years. 3 years we've been waiting. And now, I've been restraining myself from... I've been trying to play it safe, just trying to see where we line up, but I think this weekend I'm going to take my shot. Give me Kyle Busch for the victory. And the cup, and my dark horse, Justin Haley. He's going to have a random run. I know he's been lackluster this year, but I think just this once he might actually have some speed.
Did you have one for Xfinity?
You know what? Christopher Bell is in this race. I'll pick him.
Checker?
For Xfinity, here's the thing. I'm gonna have to split up the tiebreaker on this one. But truthfully, I don't know why. I have that random feel like everyone's hyping up Suarez, for Cup, but I just feel like something's gonna blow up in smoke. I still am gonna support Suarez, but I'm gonna obviously actually pick him for my Xfinity pick. I just think JRM's got a car prep, got a hot fast car prepped for him. Suarez, of course, a former Xfinity champion and correct my memory, but the first ever international Xfinity champion. I believe. Honestly, I think Suarez is going to be, very consistent in that 9 car, and I think that's going to be my Xfinity pick. For Cup, again, I can say a lot of names out there, for a lot of names like, SVG, Larson, Bell, and all that, but truth be told, I don't know why. I just feel like it's going to work. I don't know why it's going to work. I know he was my pick last week, but I think there's something coming to that 45 team. I think Tyler Reddick is going to get it done in Mexico City. I just feel like the timing could be right, and I think that if everything goes, smooth for that Toyota team, of course they have all the pressure right now with the charter stuff and stuff, all that. But I think Tyler Reddick is a very, kind of watch on the radar type thing for Cup during these road courses. And for my dark horse, I'm gonna probably pick. I'm also gonna select Michael McDowell because also watching him under the radar did, like I said, won a race here in Mexico City before. So, yeah, those are my picks for Mexico City.
Danny?
For Xfinity, I'm probably gonna go for Ty as well for Xfinity.
Okay.
And for my Cup Series pick, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to agree with Zach on this one. I gotta go with Daniel Suarez for the win.
And your dark horse?
My dark horse, let's go. You know what? Let's go SVG as well.
All right. Solid picks this week. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. This was kind of a very long-winded episode, which, I mean, rightfully so. Zach, first and foremost, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate your time. We all do.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on. This was really fun. It's cool to be on with some non aggressively stupid NASCAR fans like some of the people that are on Twitter. It's nice. It's nice to know that there are some people with other favorite drivers who aren't idiots. So that's nice. I really appreciate you guys having me on. I know I'm a little long-winded with stuff, but I have thoughts and I give them to the masses. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
thanks for having me on. It's been really fun. We'll have to do it again sometime soon.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, man. We appreciate your time as always. And long-winded for a good reason, too, because you brought a lot of good experience and knowledge with you, too. So, I mean, it's fair.
Well, I try, man. We could have a whole audiobook with all the stuff I'd like to talk about, but we don't have time for all that. So,
no, we do not. But as always, thank you guys for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe. As always, this is AJ signing out. Y'all take it easy, and please drink your fucking water.
This is Sunny signing out. Good night, everyone. And I swear to God, I stand by my point. Do not let Corey LaJoie win a truck race. I will crash out.
This is Channy signing out. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. And I better see CM Punk as a goddamn leader of the I can't even fucking speak. I can't English.
And this is Checker. We are done. We are racing off to Mexico City. See you all later in the next episode. And without that, see you all in the next episode. Signed off.